Alrighty then. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Matthew Baker of Beautiful New York Tours. If there's one thing we know, it's that we don't know much. We live in very uncertain times, and uncertainty tends to be very uncomfortable. I know it's uncomfortable for me, and it's probably uncomfortable for a good number of you as well. Nobody likes uncertainty in their lives. But uncertainty in our books and our movies and our history, well, that's another matter. That kind of uncertainty we do like. Because after all, who doesn't love a good mystery? And New York is full of those. It happened in New York. The year is 1930, and the place is Billy Haas's Chop House, an elegant restaurant on West 45th Street between 8th and 9th Avenues, just west of the Broadway Theater District. It's early August, and out walks New York State Supreme Court Justice Joseph Force Crater. He leaves a lovely dinner with his friends. He may or may not have stepped into a taxicab, depending on which of the conflicting eyewitness accounts you believe, and he is never seen or heard from again. Nobody knows what happened to Judge Crater. Earlier that week, he had been up in rural Maine on a vacation with his wife. Taking a call on business, he told her he had to return to New York City to straighten some fellows out over a business deal. This was not unusual, and down to the city he went. But instead of handling business, he called up his girlfriend, Sally Lou Ritz. This was one of many girlfriends he had. Judge Crater was often known as Good Time Joe, and he loved Broadway theater, and he loved chorus girls. He loved several of them, one night after another, and this was fairly well known. Now, he also was seen going down to his judge chambers at the State Supreme Court building in Foley Square when court was not in session. He and a secretary spent the evening collecting files, burning some, and taking others with them. He then sent his secretary to withdraw several $1,000s on his behalf. But the night of his disappearance, he had no bags, no suitcases, no clothing other than what he wore, no prized possessions, which remained in his fancy Fifth Avenue apartment. There's very little credence to the notion that he disappeared on purpose to go live a life somewhere else, especially because once it was discovered he was missing, he became dubbed the missingest man in New York and was on the front page of several newspapers for several weeks. It would have been very hard for a man who had become so famous so quickly to just disappear into society pretty much anywhere. And indeed, in the ensuing years, there were more unsubstantiated sightings of Judge Crater than there would be about Elvis Presley half a century later. So what happened? Some people believe that he bought his seat on the court, and he may have been knocked off to prevent him from talking about the corrupt politicians who helped his advance to power. Others believe he may have been connected to the mob and was knocked off to prevent him exposing them. Could it have been his wife Stella, who was upset about his philandering? Undoubtedly not. They met as he was serving as her divorce lawyer and got married a week after her divorce was complete, so she knew him as a fast operator. Could it have something to do with Vivian Gordon, a high-end prostitute who was known to be one of his girlfriends, whose later murder brought down Jimmy Walker and the Tammany Hall machine? One way or another, Judge Crater's disappearance served to signal the end of the Jazz Age, as the merry and loose and not entirely ethical high society of New York gave way to the grim and threadbare New York society of the Great Depression. There was a brief hope that the crater case might have been solved in 2005 when an unsubstantiated report came that a police officer named Charles Burns had done him in while working for Murder Inc. But the place where Crater's body is said to have been dumped revealed no skeletal remains to be investigated. To this day, 90 years after his disappearance, the Crater case remains a mystery. There are plenty of amateur detectives and historians who walk his footsteps frequently. They'll go to West 45th Street, where the Chop House was. They'll go to the Belasco Theater, where he had bought one ticket for a show that he never attended that night. They'll check out his offices at Foley's Square. And of course, no Judge Crater tour is complete without a visit to his fancy apartment building at 45th Avenue. People searching for crater evidence have become so popular there that the doorman and superintendent can recognize him and he'll say, "You looking for the judge?" Because that's what people go there for. And once it is safe to do so, you can too. It happened in New York. Please check me out at Beautiful New York Tours. You can search Beautiful New York Tours on Facebook or email me at baker.tours@yahoo.com. Again, that is baker.tours@yahoo. Thank you very much.